Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to another Last Epoch dev stream. I'm your host, Mike, and let's hop right in. If you missed last time, we're still playing Fenton, our level 70 shaman, who is solo. We're primarily doing Warcry, Tempest Strike, proccing Storm Totem. We're proccing a lot of things. We're proccing 3 of our abilities. So it's a little bit of a weird build, but it's lots of fun. We're working our way through the monolith, proving that the impossible is possible. Although, in all honesty, I feel like I will have to respec before getting all the way through this thing. This build is struggling a lot. A lot. Yeah. Hello everyone, how's it going? How you doing? If you've got questions for me, please feel free to leave them down in the chat. Give me a ping. I'll try and answer as many of them as I can. Looks like we're part of the way through this monolith already. High speed and crit chance, alright, let's get crit to death. Smart move hiding chat. Yeah. We forgot one of the streams and it was less than awesome.
I will not die here.
Yeah. For the most part, chat's generally pretty good, but you never know. Want to keep things classy. I don't think I did any respecking or upgrading or anything like that over the break. We've been pretty busy. We're pushing for the patch right now, so it's a lot of work and less time to prep for things like this. Been working on the crafting panel today and last week as well. Well, all this week. Looking great. Got some new effects from our technical artist, and it's looking really great. Our UI designer and everyone's collaborating. Quite excited about it. Got some questions here. Will multiplayer be before or at 0.9? I don't know if we've explicitly decided. I think 0.9 makes a lot of sense to be the multiplayer patch. Doesn't really tell you anything because we could, like, it's not a decimal value, it's a versioning number, so it could go like, I don't think this will happen, just for the record, but hypothetically it could go to like 0.815. I'm using a really extreme example to show that I'm not seriously thinking that could actually ever happen. But yeah, usually we reserve the second digit in there for very major shifts. So like when we entered into alpha, when we entered into beta, those were the shifts that we do those with. Multiplayer is bigger than any of those things.
Impossible.
Question, is 11th Hour Games a publicly traded company? And if so, what's the stock symbol? And if not, do they plan on becoming a publicly traded company? We are not a publicly traded company. There are... I have no idea if there are plans for it or not anytime soon at all. I wouldn't suspect so. Usually you have to be pretty darn big for that to be a thing, but I don't know a lot about it, so I don't want to pretend to have the info on it. Like on becoming a publicly traded company. Seems like the sort of thing you pay an expert to tell you if it's a good idea or not. I wants to see the statutory accounts? I don't know what that means, I'm sorry. Oh, Llama, that makes sense. Yes, you would know. Random question for you. You might not be able to answer, but do you know if you bought the Ardent Commander or t-shirts available yet? They should be available, yes. If you haven't received one, or even like someone contacting you to get information about, I don't know how the process works, but if you had to like send away for shipping info or something like that, but I'm pretty sure shirts are available. They look like this, and I'm gonna die. Hey, just bought the game and it's amazing. Thanks. I appreciate that. Just wondering if optimization is up there on the priority list. Yes, optimization is something we work on constantly. That's actually what I was just working on about an hour ago before prepping for this. And on the, I know it's little things, but when you're in the crafting panel and like there's that little bit of hitch when it opens, and like when you hit the forge button it like lags for a second, little things like that. So we spend time sometimes for really specific things like that. You get out the profiler and you look at like what's using up processing power, what's using up memory, what's using up all the individual types of resources that your computer has. Let's get out of there. Good luck, Bear. I believe in you. Huh. Didn't actually expect him to survive. And then there's bigger things like systematic changes for large-scale systems. So we've talked about this a lot in previous streams with the in pooling of game objects for abilities is a really big thing. So that's all stuff that's being worked on all the time. Are you guys planning on improving the clear speed of previous classes in order to push them up to be on par with the rogue? I think we'd like roughly everyone to be similar, such that when you're in multiplayer, you're not trying to catch up with the fastest class X, which right now is probably the rogue. But I don't know if that necessarily is, like, if the rogue's up here and someone else down here, I don't know if that's necessarily strictly just bring this up to here, but maybe it's like, do this, so they're, like, they meet each other type thing. It's something that will take a long time to get in a really good place, and is very much affected by multiplayer. When a skill says allies, does it mean minion only or both minion and other players? So I saw this question pop up in Discord and possibly Reddit recently. There's a few questions like exactly the same, which is kind of surprising it's happening all at once. And I don't know if, is there an entry in here for allies? Nope, doesn't look like it. It is anyone whose name appears green at the top, basically. That's like a combat entity. So, like, you are your own ally. You are your pet's ally. Your pet is your ally. It's everything that is friendly to you, whose name, like, if you were to mouse over it, would show with, like, green outline, green at the top. That's an ally. And it's to do with an alignment. So it checks your alignment is the same as your own alignment, is what it does. Sorry. Alright. So yes, it does affect you. There is sorry, the reason this came up though is there was a specific node that was talking about the interaction of allies, and that specific node, I can't remember what node it was, but it was on, I think somewhere on primalist. Can't remember what it was exactly. It's gonna kill me now. I can find out what it was. I know who I talked to about it. And it was broken. The wolf howl. That does not affect you right now because of a bug, which we have fixed for next patch. Really roundabout long answer. Sorry about that. Probably already been asked, but is there some sort of ladder changes, fixes in the near future? What sort of changes and fixes are you looking for? We're not really doing much to the ladder this patch, but we will be doing things further down the road with it, adding in different types of ladders. Obviously, the security and validity of these ladders will be better once we're into multiplayer. Yeah, let's do Glancing Blow. We don't care about that at all, do we? Hey, Mike. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Dark Swift 333. I hear on Reddit that you have a killer Sean Connery impression. I have no idea where you heard that from. Maybe I do? I don't think... I haven't tried to do Sean Connery in a long time. It might seep out at some point. We'll see. I do love Sean Connery. It's always the bond you grow up with, isn't it? Like, I know a lot of people like grew up with Pierce Brosnan and that's their favorite, but like, oh, Sean Connery, just the best, simply the best. I can see real good things from this game. Keep up the good work. Looking forward to multiple updates and haven't been enjoying the game very much. Thanks. I appreciate that. SJ Lee, I'm glad you're having fun. I'm having fun too. Argolos the Blessed. Really similar to a commander I hate in Magic. It's such a one-track commander. In that case, if you are your own ally, there are a few cases where you don't get hit by the ally bonuses. Yeah, I might be wrong about that, actually. When it says ally, it might be referring to people other than you. Sorry about that. I like playing dot builds in all games. Is there any way to proliferate ailments or to further scale their damage other than corresponding damage types? There's certain ailments that proliferate themselves, like out to other things. There's not many that like... Ooh, 2 shatterings in a row, nice. There aren't many ways to like duplicate ailments. There's some items that like will speed them up and things like that to front load the damage. But it's mostly just like the damage type you're looking for, or dot damage. The base damage of the thing that applies it does not affect how much the dot deals, if that's what you're wondering. Soylent Green 25, nice name, I like that. Any plans for more diverse glyph options? Oh yeah. Right now I feel like there are mostly a currency to access crafting rather than an interesting choice I can make during crafting. Yeah, I'd agree with that for sure. We have a gigantic list. We keep making changes and theoretical changes to the crafting system. It's a really complex system, even though it doesn't like appear that really complex on the surface right away. It is shockingly complicated in the like small changes can have really big implications. And we do a lot of simulating of ideas we have to modify crafting in different ways and like what it would do for the overall average difficulty to get a T20 item, the overall average difficulty to get any item with an affix up to T5, a T16 item. There's lots of different things we run in simulations and how each item would affect those things, because it's a lot of math, which could be a lot of fun. But yeah, we've got a lot of ideas on things we want to add as far as glyphs are concerned, and runes as well, and those all interact with like we've been considering some changes to the crafting system, some relatively minor on the surface changes, but does affect the difficulty to, you know, get to T20, get to T16 at different rates, and it's we don't want to introduce more crafting secondary like support items, so we call the glyphs are support items, and we haven't managed to come up with any that we want to add, even if we decide to make some changes to the crafting system type thing. So we're still waiting on I guess more finalizing crafting in general before we add more of them. But we are definitely looking to add more crafting items, materials, support, like runes, glyphs, all those sorts of things. What are your favorite abilities nodes? Mine at the moment is channeled seeking fireballs. That's a really great one. That's something that was like really early came out. So like we had like channeled seeking fireballs, like really early into the game, and it's something that's, because it's been around for so long, I forget it exists sometimes. But yes, that is a really good one. Actually, I don't know if I organized this on stream, but I did come in here and organize my tabs a little bit. And I'm going to keep saying it every time I come into one of these. Oh my god, I can't wait for you guys to all see the draggable stash tabs. It's the freaking best. The best. Do I have enough cash? I don't. Let's just grab some things we don't care about. These will be bad for shattering.
Yes.
Really should be taking a closer look at these. Increase health, focus on attacking players. But my minions. My favorite abilities. It's so hard, it changes. And I think I get asked this question. Usually my answer is whatever the last ability I worked on is. So while one of the other coders did most of the work for it, actually, it was Volatile Zombie. Coming out next patch, which I'm really excited for. And Stormcrows, now that we can talk about that one, is also going to be really fun. That one's really interesting because it opens up a pretty new actually both of them open up pretty new archetypes, in the sense that we didn't really have much of a fire minion by at base before for Acolyte, and we didn't have much of a spell casting companion at base for primalist before. So both of which I think are going to be interesting in when they open up. But favorite ability overall. I mean, I love Disintegrate as well. I know it's not the best ability yet, but I do really like it. Since characters are stored locally for now, am I allowed to play around with the cheat engine at all? No. Alright. Hi Mike, my mom is watching your stream and wants to know if you are single. She lives in Houston and would be interested in a bit of Netflix and chill. Maybe there's a dev copy of the game. Well, that's very flattering. I am married. My wedding ring is right here. And I'm also not in Houston. But thanks. To reiterate right now, if you die on hardcore, you don't die. You can just rank as ghost. Basically, there's no hardcore. Oh, if it's still letting you go up ranks on the ladder as a ghost, that's just a bug. That shouldn't be happening. That's just a straight up bug. When you die in hardcore, it's supposed to lock your progress on all metrics. And continuing as a ghost is more of a converting your character to softcore type thing rather than a continuing to play on hardcore. Is what that's supposed to be. I need to tighten up this loot filter a bit. I threw it together right at the start of the stream a few weeks ago. When is the next Steam sale, and does Steam purchase include what is included on the website? Yeah, so Steam, I have no idea when the next sale is going to be. That is super duper not my responsibility, so I don't really have much control over it. When you buy the Steam version, you get the exact same equivalent value pack on the website. Everything is identical. Anything you get on the one you buy on our website, you literally get on Steam. Anything you buy on Steam, you get on the one on the website. Completely one for one. Everything's the same. If you buy it on either, you can use it on either. Yeah. The way the account gets set up is slightly different, but other than that, it's exactly the same. You end up with the exact same stuff. Ooh, here we go. In this timeline, Lagon is attacked by Raya forces and driven to unleash a storm on the coast to destroy his enemies, but also his own people in the process. Save survivors in a flooded, Maruna-infested Fedima. Dun dun dun! Alright. Will legendary items be items that you'll want to try and obtain in late game? Currently, I'm feeling like legendary. So we call them uniques. Legendaries will be something different. Currently, feeling like I reached a stalemate with all my gear already quite well optimized, except for having some nice tier 7 gear with what is available quite easily. Yeah, there's so the goal long term, and it's not there yet, so this is something we are working on improving, is to have unique items that really help push a build and are sort of like key pieces to a build that I guess you can call it build enabling uniques, things that really help you do things you wouldn't be able to do otherwise. Unique interactions, that's why we call them unique items. So unique interactions that would have like build defining effects. So things like when you cast this, it also casts that, or it converts a certain spell to another maybe element type. Something that just changes how your skills, passives, and abilities are going to interact with each other, such that you can make something work that couldn't work otherwise. And sometimes that means the uniques themselves are a little bit weaker because they have that interaction. We are trying to make it so that most endgame builds will use some combination of all the different item types. So hopefully everyone's using a few uniques, and everyone's using a few exalted items, and everyone's using a few rares, and everyone's, you know, like it's that sort of thing where you're not just using one type. It's a really tough balance to strike because there's a lot of stuff. Taking some deeps here. There's a lot of items that kind of appear to be just useless at first glance, which is tough, but it is sort of a balance we are working on. And I think last patch we brought up a lot of uniques from the depths of mediocrity into a much better place, but there's still a lot of them that I would classify as leveling uniques. Yeah. Will they have body popping effects like Diablo 2 Corpse Explosion? Like the animation on Volatile Zombie. I don't know if that's done yet. The full animation. I don't know if it's finished or not. Echo conquered. Thank you for answering. You are welcome. Darkswift, please do not do that. just to be clear. Just in case. Getting some keys, guys. We're gonna go into the that thing that I keep forgetting the name of right now, but it'll come back to me any second. The arena soon. Will you guys add idle animations at some point? Currently, the werebear is pretty yikes. Yeah, the werebear in general is getting a facelift patch after next, both in a visual and functional meaning, and also Spriggan as well, and something else maybe. You never know. And there are some. I know we had some really cool idle animations that we added in for the rogue. I don't know if they managed to stick, but we're definitely going to be adding more of them. There was a really cool one where she like pulled out a coin and like flipped it and grabbed it, and there was a few where she just like spun some daggers around. See, I think those are fun things to have in. I'm sure we'll be adding more of those. Any plans on implementing a system like bounties in D3 to offer an alternative to campaign leveling? 1.0 probably won't involve a alternative to campaign leveling. It's not something we're really against, but it's something that is out of scope for our initial launch, I would say. I mean, like, someone builds a system for it that happens to come in strong and works right away. That happens every once in a while. Someone just shows up with something they figured out in a dream. Be surprised how often that happens, actually. but for now, it's likely out of scope for 1.0. I'm not sure. Maybe. I guess is the answer to that question. But I'd say those are the sorts of things that we'd be looking at adding and improving as time goes on. 1.0 is, we always say 1.0 is the start, not the end. 1.0 is where things start to get interesting. And we get to have fun with the systems. Well, not that we're not having fun with it now. Alright, speaking of crafting, any plans to do anything with actual forges? Right now they seem pretty useless, as I can just hit F anywhere in the world. Yeah, the forges themselves right now basically just act as a tutorialization mechanic, where if someone has gone through the game and didn't realize they could craft and they come across one, then they have a chance to craft and they learn that it's a mechanic, that sort of thing. They're kind of symbolic, and you know, it's like in town there's a forge. We've talked about adding, I've gone over this before, but we've talked about adding like bonuses for crafting in town. Maybe there's the one that I always come back to is what I think is a good idea, but I don't know if it's a great idea, is you would have infinite shattering runes at the forges, at the physical forges, but they were like, the physical forges could shatter, but they were just mediocre at shattering. So maybe like, say a rune of shattering on a T20 item is going to get on average, I don't know, 10, 12 shards. I can't remember what the math is. 15, I don't know what it is. But then let's just call it 12 for argument's sake, and then like the forge itself would only give you 6 on average. So it's just like a worse math version of it, but either it's always free or it costs gold and it's always available or something like that, just so that there's utility you can get, but the best version of it is always available out in the world. And part of the reason for that is if you have any version of it available out in the world, it has to be the best version, because if you have a better version back in town, everyone will, in order to do any crafting, go back to town every single time for any important crafting anyways. Which, like, I guess makes sense to some degree, but we really love the ability to just pop open the crafting panel and just start crafting anywhere on the go. And this is also a thing, like, once you've added a convenience factor element, quality of life improvement, some people like to call it, it's really hard to remove any of those without a negative response. So if we did make crafting better in town, we're effectively removing the convenience factor of being able to just pop this open whenever. All right. What game engine is this written in? It is Unity. Any plans to, any plans to allow upgrading of uniques so they have higher level, more skills? We've talked about it. There's some uniques that have multiple versions of them, like Beast King, I think, has 2 versions. There's a couple others, possibly. So the text there, to have different base types for them, and we theoretically could, for the ones that do have different base types, be able to upgrade between them. That's something that's not impossible for us to implement. Right now, we're not interested in doing that. It's something that might get added down the road. We'll see. Maybe there's some sort of special crafting material you have to get. Maybe there's some sort of special place you have to go. There's different things that are possible. I hate getting slowed, so we're going to take the shock and hopefully we survive. Care to share roughly how many new creator uniques might be added to the game as of now? That are in the game live right now, there's 10, I think? No, there's more than that. There's, I guess, close to 15 that are actually in game, I think. There's a few more coming next patch as well. I know I worked on several of them. There's I'm not gonna tell you what they are, but there's one that's I think really neat and has one of the longest text boxes for a single ability line that we have in any item. We tried to condense it so many times, but like as soon as you start condensing it, it's just not clear what it does. So it's a little wordy, but once you know what it does, it's really simple. Come on, give me that shard. Airspix Orion, you're going down. Hey, we've been looking at updating these bars at the top. Just seeing that one just reminded me because it was so big. I really like the new stuff we got going on there. There's a big enough backlog on the creator uniques though that we had to stop them, at least for now. There's just a lot of them. It's a popular thing to be able to do to add a unique to the game, which is fantastic, and I love hearing people's ideas. Like when people come into the chats and they're like, I got this great idea for an item, and usually there's like a really core mechanical thing they want it to do, or a really core like theming thing they want it to be like, and just getting those ideas from new people that are really pumped about getting their unique and their mark on the game. It's always a fun and interesting conversation. So I really like doing it, but there's just so many people that are interested in doing it that we had to slow down because it takes quite a lot of time. It takes quite a lot of time. It's like a lot of people have to be involved with that because there's a lot of different disciplines. Meant SFX. Sorry about that. Oh, this was the zombie hopping. I'm far behind again, guys. Just the worst, aren't I? Yeah. There is some cool SFX I know that's coming down the pipe for the zombies. Our sound effects guy is... I don't know if he's done with it or not. I haven't listened to them, and I've been off on another branch working on UI for a couple weeks now. And so I'm... honestly, not the most up-to-date person on some features like SFX on the team right now. Because I haven't been seeing them when I've been testing stuff. Or hearing them, I guess. Alright, my favorite RPG of all time, Diablo 2. Oh, I mean, other than last Epoch. Yeah, it's, like I was saying earlier, it's the things you grow up with. And, you know, Diablo 2 was the, you know, go to sleep, Mike, you're gonna be late for school in the morning, or too tired to go to school in the morning. And, you know, okay, fine, Mom. Sneak back out to the computer. Sitting on the bus on the way to school. Okay, if I put 18 points in this one, then I'll have enough to get all the way up to 20 points in this one. You know, just like sitting there daydreaming about it all day. That was the one. It was Diablo 2. Are there any plans about implementing a system like... Oh, I already answered that. You talk about Diablo 2. One of the more modern... you talk a lot about Diablo 2. Which of the more modern RPGs have you played the most, liked the most? What do you like about them? Honestly, like, when I sit down to play another ARPG these days, it's typically a modded version of Diablo 2. I played a bunch of Diablo 3, like when it first came out, and then came back to it about, let's say, 3 or 4 years ago. Played a whole bunch then. So I played a lot of Diablo 3 as well. Path of Exile. I haven't like really tried to be competitive in a league in PoE in 6 years. So it's been a while for actually like pushing in that. But I jump into basically every league that exists for that. with a few exceptions based on our development schedule when it's so busy that I just don't have time. I rented Titan Quest. I know it's not exactly a more modern one, but I rented Titan Quest on my Switch a little while ago from the library, which was fantastic. If you have a local library that's open through all of this, that rents games, it's a pretty awesome way to try out games, especially for consoles. But Grim Dawn is, I mean, it's fantastic. It's a little bit older now too, but I really love it. I feel like I'm like sitting here talking about these ones and I'm like trying to think of another one. I know I'm missing something. I never played Torchlight. I never got into it. I know there's something I'm missing and someone's gonna say it. I'm just gonna be like, oh yeah, obviously. Can you share a list of all the minions that are receiving an AI update? I'd love Forge Strike Swords to be a little more aggro. Everything other than Wolves is getting a large update. Because Wolves already has it. The AI is it's not really designed individually for each minion. Well, it is, but so it's a little confusing. There's each minion's given a list of abilities that it can use and ranges that it can use them in. So it has like an ability where it's like, if you're within this range and this ability's off cooldown, I will go hunt that target out and go use the ability on it. And if I'm within this range, I will use the ability. And if there's a few other things of like, there's 4 categories of ranges that it either will chase, attack. I can't remember all the names of them, but there's four of those ranges. And so the way that the AI interacts with those ranges and interacts with the like how much, like what you're attacking, how far it is from you, that's the stuff that's getting changed more. So each minion's AI is going to adapt to the other half of their AI differently depending on what abilities they have. If that makes any sense. Yeah, increased CDR. We'll take those special abilities. What's your favorite NHL team? The Vancouver Canucks. Although I haven't really paid attention recently. I am a very big. I always watch the World Juniors. That's my hockey tournament, the World Junior Hockey Tournament. They've always got so much to play for, and they seem like they're giving it their all. And it's really cool to see like up and coming players really make their mark. And I love cheering for my home country, and we get to host it a lot, so that's nice. and we win a lot more than the Canucks do, so everyone likes to win. Any plans to localize, especially German, because some of my friends would like to buy the game, but not sure they can understand enough English for the skill trees? Yeah, we are planning on localizing the game to initially our more common languages that we have players in. We have a lot of players in Germany. It's pretty cool actually, and especially when you consider it's not first language there. The percentage of our players that are in Germany is really neat. I think that either speaks to the percentage of people in Germany that speak English, or beer. We got some beer. I don't know if anyone saw that. Or your guys' ability to just adapt to not needing to see exactly the language exactly how it is, or your patience to translate things manually. But yeah, localization is something we are working on, and while I can't guarantee any languages. I think I don't even want to say that. I can't guarantee any languages.
Possible.
But I have worked on the dialogue system localization. The hard part is the skill trees to localize, because every single one of those is like carefully worded manually by, in some cases, we debated for months on the exact wording conventions for different nodes. There was a large overhaul of skill trees and passive trees about a year ago, where we basically went through every single node and debated their wordings and we made naming conventions for everything. So we'd have to kind of do the same thing for every language, because the phrasing is really important, and sometimes things can get lost in translation. So yeah, we're just pumping endurance now. Crafting anywhere is really nice. I love that feature. Yeah, me too. Hi Mike, great game. Huge fan. Thanks. In 082, the idol locker is getting less space. This feels like a nerf unless the lesser idols are getting buffed. Are some of the idols getting buffed in the next patch? We haven't gone over the exact changes yet. It's getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's getting bigger, isn't it? I thought it was getting bigger. 3, 6, 9. 15, 18. Yeah, it's getting bigger. Yeah. But yes, we are looking at balancing some of those things out, and it's going to be, I'd say, likely the initial patch. There's probably going to be some significantly better and significantly worse combinations than before. So like a lot of idols are going to get really a lot better, and a lot of idols are going to get really a lot worse, just because there's less of them to get. 1x3s and 3x1s are suddenly going to be way better than they are now. Ooh, nice. Island Battlefield. We are taking a look at idle balance, though. Yeah. Hi, Mike. Before you started working for 11th Hour Games, where did you work before, and what did you do? The job I had directly before this was actually pretty cool. It was building it's for a local company, building some software for, it was in Unity actually, which is pretty cool. We were using game engine to make furniture software, basically, so people could like build versions of their house, and or have a surveyor come in and like get measurements and build their house for them, to be able to like decorate and design their house, and primary applications in the furniture industry, but also in real estate for being able to virtually view houses in VR at range. So you could like do a walkthrough of a house and not ever have to go there. Yeah, and I was one of the, like I said, I started there as a junior coder. But there was only there was only 2 of us, so. Junior is relative. All right. Is there any way to get MTX packs when I already bought the game? Yeah, we've the straight upgrade system is still not back online, I don't think, but we are working on that. Like for other packs, we are still developing our like MTX store. That's not fully available yet. We are if you want to upgrade to one of the different packs that's on the website, you can buy it, and we can like refund the old one, basically, I think. I'm not sure exactly what the process is about that, but if you're interested, go to our support page. I think it's support.lastepoch.game, or it might be that might be the email. support@lastepoch.game. There's a contact on the support page. If you type !support into our Discord, it will pop right up. And there's a contact form that's really easy to use. And if you ask them, they will be much more helpful than I am being right now. Any plans so we can level up gear? Say I find a leveling unique, but I want to use it at end game, and we can level it up to work with your build late game. Yeah, I mean most leveling uniques are designed as leveling uniques and not really designed to be used late game. There are some that level up with you. Hammer of Laurent, it gives you stats per level, so it does get better as you go. We have talked about like upping uniques, and I think I talked about that a little bit earlier, and I might be behind a little bit on chat. I wish it had timestamps in here, so I could see like how far behind I am. Any plans to make it so we can... Oh, I just the same one. Does that mean squirrels are heralding next patch? No, they are not. The other minions were ahead of them in the pipeline, and they're not ready. But I'm very excited about that item. It's gonna be a ton of fun. Alright, hiya! Loving this game so far. Thank you. Wondering if there's an official stance on auto casting. As I understand, it's not something you guys want, but do you know if it will be patched or worked in, etc.? Yeah, it really is something that we're not a big fan of. I think that the official stance, I guess, is if there's a reason to auto cast, it means that we've made a design mistake. And hopefully we'll be shoring up that design situation that's causing autocast to be the preferred playstyle or preferred strategy. Generally, we want autocasting to... Like, there was a big problem with Fire Shield. So Fire Shield was a skill, if you are new here, that the mage used to have before Flame Ward, which was just everyone had it on autocast because it was just better to autocast. There's no reason to ever use it situationally. Since then, we revamped it to Flame Ward, which has a lot more of an upfront bonus when you press the button, and that bonus dissipates over time. So if you just are always pressing it, it will sometimes happen to line up by just sheer luck. But most of the time you want to use it when you need it. And there's a really fine line to walk there between having these long cooldowns that you struggle to decide what the best time to use them is, and long enough cooldowns where autocasting them is not nice, or autocasting them is not ideal. So it's something we work on from the design standpoint. I can't say I'm a huge fan that it gets used. Am I surprised that it gets used? No. It's a age-old debate on the Path of Exile subreddit and forums of like the popsicle technique, as it's come to be known. So it's a tricky conversation, but I would say it's not the way the game is meant to be played, is the short answer. But right now, as of this video, on May 7th, it will not get your account banned. If that information ever changes, we'll be very public about it. All right. Hey, Mike, what's your favorite magic color? Oh, wait, I skipped one here. I'll come back to that one. What's your favorite magic color? Please don't say blue. I'm a big fan of blue, yes. My favorite color combination is red-blue. Probably more of an emphasis on the red than the blue. I'm not allowed to play green-blue anymore. because I always build the decks the exact same and my friends don't like it. I recently built a red-blue pirate deck that has no pirates in it except the commanders, and it's awesome. I can't wait to play it again once we can get back together. But individual favorite colors is probably going to be black, I think. Like, if I'm going to play just a monocolored deck. Life is a resource. Gotta spend it. I wasn't allowed to play with the black cards as a little kid. That's probably one of the reasons I like it. My parents took away all the black cards because of the skulls. They were like, it's too dark. You're a 10-year-old kid. It's too like too adult theme. They're like, play with the green and the white cards. They're much happier. So as a kid, I had a green deck. Have you guys thought of what league names, leagues mechanics you'll be launching with? A lot of thought has gone into that. Yeah. I want to go in. I want to go in. Seems like something I want to go in. Any plans for auto pickup shards? I'm a lazy man and I hate clicking on them. Not at this time. You don't have a lot of German players. You only have one heavy. I'm sorry, Llama. That's not true. Hey, Mike. What's the reason you wanted to make last Epoch? What was the inspiration? I'm really happy that you're creating this game and hope that it's gonna be the next #1 action RPG game. Thank you very much for your support. I appreciate that. I was not initially, like myself, I was not initially, like, it wasn't on my radar to make an ARPG. It wasn't, like, something that I was thinking of. But I came across a post on Reddit. I'm going to put this in the keys one. By Judd, the game director, on the Diablo 2 subreddit, asking about a hypothetical, people's thoughts, like just trying to gauge community interest on people's thoughts of a hypothetical skill system that's basically exactly what our skill system is. That was in the game right from the beginning. And it just like sparked, and I went, and I just couldn't stop thinking about it at that point, and that's what got me involved. It was just Judd's enthusiasm, really. Oh, we got an Exalted drop. Crit chance, womp womp. That's probably pretty good, but not for this build. Will you guys add super ultra rare useless fun collectibles like fishing rods and PoE? Every time someone asks a question like this, there's like a small part of me that just wants to troll so bad and just be like, what makes you say there's not already? And just like but there's not. Sorry, quiet. Yeah, I think there's a lot of fun and things like that. And as we already have beer, is potion drops sometimes. There's things like that. And yeah, I really love things like that. Little Easter eggs, little things that are fun, that are not very good, but they're ultra rare. And it's almost like a look how long I've been playing for status symbol. The idle thing is getting an additional 4 spaces. Yes. Total annihilation. Hi. Will there be a whitewash when 1.0 goes live with your characters, or what happens to the collected materials? Oh, you said whitewash, and I thought you meant like all their models were going to change or something like that. I'm like, no. The characters that are available to be played right now, oh my goodness, that avalanche hurts. Jeez Louise, where's my bear? He died somewhere off in the ether. Probably on screen, I just wasn't noticing. The characters that you're playing right now are offline characters and will not be able to be played on live servers. We will not delete them off your computer, and you can still use them offline, but they will not be available to come online in any way, none of your anything. You're about 10 minutes behind. If you want timestamps, look at XChat for Twitch. Okay, thank you. Good tip. What the biggest performance hit at the moment? You plan to make it better. Biggest performance hits at the moment. The number one is game object creation and deletion instead of pooling, and we do plan to improve that. There's a little dead zone right there, isn't there? It's frustrating, eh? Yeah, we've got an object pooling system that we're working with, and it's pretty fantastic. What game mode will be your main balancing around, hardcore or softcore? I mean, we look at both. There's items we create and skill nodes we create that we are very aware that either softcore or hardcore will never use. Where we're like, oh, that's a hardcore item, or oh, that's a softcore item. And we try to, we really try to keep both in mind as much as possible, because we know that a lot of people really enjoy one or the other, and some people flip back and forth, and we don't want the scenario where the prevailing thoughts are, well, the game really sucks at hardcore, or well, the game really sucks in softcore, or something like that. So I don't think there's one that we really have a main focus on. There's mechanics that we have that we're like, well, that mechanic does nothing in hardcore. We were just talking about one actually for the monolith updates that are coming next patch. Where, like, it's just, okay, well, it does nothing in hardcore because you know it's a death-based mechanic, and I mean, if you die, you're dead. So it's tricky. But yeah, I don't think we balance around one or the other more intently. I think a really good example of like a like halfway hardcore mechanic, and it's a vague term at best. It's Diablo 3 with Greater Rifts. You complete it without dying, you get an extra bonus. You get an extra bonus reward in your unique jewels. Get an extra level roll. They're jewels, right? Yeah, those are jewels. Been a little while. Second guess myself. Yep. Get back up. Help me. Yeah, so things like that I think are really cool, and like adding in unique mechanics where it's like, oh, if you beat this without dying, you get an extra bonus or something like that. It's just adding an extra bonus to hardcore completion for it, because you have to beat it without dying anyways. Alright, I haven't heard much mention lately of the remaining masteries being released. Any word on how far away they are? I don't really have much to tell you on that, I'm sorry. You will see teasers for them closer to when they're coming out. So I think you've got a pretty good handle on how to estimate when they're coming, if you've noticed that we haven't said anything about them very recently. They're not coming next patch is what I'm saying. The moment I saw the first skill tree in the Kickstarter demo, I knew this game was going to be special. Thank you. Yes, that's exactly how I felt too. I still have the original Reddit post that I it's like one of 3 saved posts I have on Reddit. Yeah. What's your goal regarding character and gear locks? It's a major issue, but I feel kind of disappointed when my Sork Spellblade look. Oh, it looks. It does say looks. All right. Sork Spellblade look exactly the same in the character select. Yeah, that's something that is evolving as we go. We try and focus on a batch of things all at once. So we did a few patches ago. We did a big batch of armor gear for Sork and Spellblade. I know there was one for the Acolyte that was added last patch or this patch. I can't remember. There's more for other classes coming slowly as we go. So we're sort of gonna keep expanding on that. We want it to grow and there be quite a few visual options without MTX. And that is something that we are working on and expanding. Although I hope your Sork and Spellblade are wielding different weapons, because that would be a little weird. You guys make it to clone an online character to offline for those moments where you want to play the game but your internet is down or something. We've talked about it. I don't think we made any final decisions on it or not. Maybe. There's good and bad things about doing that. Oh. Oh, pucker up. Oh, yep. Come on. Good thing there was so many potions on the ground there. That was tight. That was really tight. Moments like that when I should have my Storm Totem on my bar so I don't have to proc it. Alright. Let's get some water here. You guys have access to like the carbonation kit things. They're real cheap. We have a soda stream. It is so fantastic. Like, just get the CO2 canisters refilled. Get a little bit of lemon juice. It's just change your life. Drink so much more water. It's great for you. Alright. Lots of new gear sets will be coming. Oh, this was a reply with a ping in there. That's weird. When people reply to things that have a ping from me in it, it pings me too. Are we going to be able to transmog gear to other collected appearances in, like in Diablo? And if so, will this be MTX gated? We're still sorting all that out. I am pretty confident that it won't be exactly the same as PoE or D3. But it's definitely something that we know a lot of people like to do. So we're trying to work out our preferred method of doing it and how we want to design it. And both PoE and D3 systems have good things about them that are great for their own games. But we're making our own because it's a different game and things don't fit one for one most of the time. I think I caught up to chat. I've not had a soda stream since the late 80s. They're great. Just bought the game not long ago. Really enjoying it currently. Good game and looking forward to more. Thanks, Super Puzzle. I appreciate that. I am really glad you're having fun. That's like I realize that's the number one thing. Is just as long as people are having fun, this is all worth it. That's the benchmark. Are people having fun? We're doing a good job. Crit strike avoidance. Yeah, I was looking at the monolith recently, and I realized one of the big problems. Well, I didn't realize this. Someone else realized this, but it was realized. And as I'm playing here, I'm feeling it firsthand, which is interesting. I'm noticing it right now, in that the big thing that I'm doing when I'm looking at these is I'm looking at the negative side of it, not the positive side of it, because I was like, I don't really care about crit avoidance at all, and I'm having a tough time with bigger hits, so I'm gonna just take this one. And then I glanced down and looked at the bonus, and like the rarity is not as good, but like I don't really care about the difference in that. And that's I think a pretty major shortcoming in the system, and it's something that's gonna be worked on, or has been worked on, I should say. Mike, did you bring any leaks for the day? I did. I'm so glad you asked. I'm surprised no one has so far. Mike, have you had your hair and beard cut recently? No, I have not. Last time I got my hair cut was about 6-8 months ago by my wife. She did a great job, and I'm going to get her to do it again. Well, the hair. It's the first time she'd ever held a pair of clippers. Like, zzz. She did a fantastic job. So she's going to do that again. I might trim my beard soon. It's getting a little bushy. What do you think of a boss gauntlet as an endgame activity? I personally love boss gauntlet modes. They are so much fun. Mega Man, the old Mega Man games, you get to the end, and I can't remember if it's in all of them or just some of them, but like you have to then fight all of the bosses like one after another. You have all the upgrades at that point, which is great. But I always loved that. And they did the Wii versions of it. They did Mega Man, I think it was 9 and 10 were on the Wii Virtual Console. Oh, they were so good. One of my buddies is, I used to work with him at like a computer repair shop, and he is a true Mega Man master. Like, will beat every single Mega Man game there is with Buster only, and not get hit and not miss a shot. And I know you will think that's impossible. It's not. So I have something pretty cool here. It's gonna cover my face. I'll stand over here. Oh, it's this way. I know how this works. This is something it's a little different. This isn't a really big thing. It's nothing for next patch yet. But we've been tossing around some ideas internally recently. This is very early concepting. Looking to rework an asset that we've had in the game that we didn't make, I don't think. Like, bought it as part of an asset pack forever ago. And we're trying to phase those things out so it's 100% just like Epoch made stuff. And so we've been tossing around some new concept art for it. And let me know if you can figure out what this would be a concept to replace. I don't think it'll be that hard to do. Are you happy with the arenas as they are? On many occasions, lower level arenas are harder than higher ones due to mob type and rarity type spawns. Yeah, the arenas, I wouldn't say finished. But the game over ahead ago, I'm going to say that's year probably, based on Riker's recommendations. You guys have come a long way in the last 12 months. Keep it up. Yes, we have come a long way in the last 12 months, and thank you. We will keep it up. I hope to have gone much further than we have come in the last 12 months in the next 12 months. And I think it's a very reasonable thing to strive for. When will we see both rings when comparing items? That's a good one. We should do that pretty soon. A hair reveal, please. Yeah, I will. When I get the haircut, I'll do it. Leaks. Yeah, here we go, Rhymer. The name tag gives it away. It does say the name tag doesn't. It's so small on my screen. Bah, I'm terrible. Well, this is concept art from Nifty, Pat, who we had on stream a few weeks ago. He did some live art for us, which was fantastic. I actually have the finished version of that. I don't know if you guys haven't seen it or not. Why is the Necromancer getting all the love? She's not. There's lots of other stuff. Lone Star, I know you're expecting a lot more. All I really have for you is a different sheet that is a little bit different version. So these are early concepts. I'd be very interested to know what you guys like or don't like in these concepts. If there's any from either sheet that you really like or really dislike, I'd be really interested to hear about it. It's not a leak heavy week. I'm sorry, guys. We're you know, as we get closer to a patch, which we're starting to get closer to, we've said it's going to be this month, so we're at the very most 24 days away from it at the very most. Is that right? That's all we've said on it. But yeah, the it like there starts to become features that we want to do like large social posts on, and I'll be honest, I was working on features and did not have much time to prep. We'll try and do better next week, guys. Really dislike the lack of mono leaks. I'm sorry. I apologize for that. You're just saying that because you know what some of the leaks are, probably. Officer, it was number 9 in the lineup that insulted my grandmother, so we would like to keep him. Very nice, very nice. I hope that's not true. Idea for better mono rewards instead of just X experience / general loot. Maybe offer some options like plus 2% two-handed staff drops, plus % glyph drops, plus % drops exalted gear, etc. Yeah, that's I think the only downside with that type of thing where it's percentage based is there's still a chance where it has no effect. And while it does let you target specific things and hunt them more reliably than before, there's still that element of like, we've learned from the crafting system that, and I mean really we theoretically and academically knew this already, but seeing it in practice is really interesting. Humans are really not great at internalizing RNG that's happening and over time, and like on what it should do versus what it's doing, and that disparity of perceived RNG versus like actual RNG. And because like we get bug reports all the time of like crafting's broken, the chances are wrong, and they're not. Like, at all. And having it be a chance-based thing, like if we put in monolith where it's like plus 10% chance, or like even if it was like 100% more two-handed staffs from this timeline or echo or whatever, it would be I'm 100% sure we would get forum posts every day that was like, I've done 10 echoes with increased two-handed staff drops, and I haven't seen a single two-handed staff in 4 echoes or something like that. Like, you know, there's these posts like this, and it's like it seems just wrong that it can be even possible. But when you have thousands of people playing and thousands of people that are taking part in this, someone's going to be this outlier that's going to get really lucky or really unlucky, and it's going to provoke these posts, which are not bad or wrong or anything like that. But I know it's frustrating for those people that it's happening to. Because I've been there. I've been the, like playing. This happened in Diablo 3. This happens. And their numbers are right, because I thought this was happening and I started recording it. And I recorded. I don't know how many I recorded. I can't remember. It's been a long time, but I'm gonna say I recorded at least 1,000 chances and outcomes on jewel upgrades. And it was within like 0.5% of what it should be. It was like perfect. But when you're playing, it feels wrong, and you feel like you're being cheated, and it just sucks. So yeah. Would you ever do some... Sorry, I kind of got lost in there. There's more questions. Keep them coming. I swear I'll answer them and not just ramble like a crazy person. Would you ever do some super difficult, and it scrolled to the bottom, some super difficult to get arena-specific uniques akin to the lab speedrun jewels in PoE? Yeah, I think that's really cool. I think if they were... build defining uniques without a alternative, so like I'm forgetting the name. Exsanguinous. If it was Exsanguinous was the was the reward, and there were no, I think it's Last Steps of the Living. I get the names of them. I get confused with them sometimes. There's the boots that are basically the same as Exsanguinous, or the other chest piece that's basically the same as Exsanguinous. If Exsanguinous was the only one that did this low life health for ward conversion, and it was only available as a reward from really deep arena challenges where it's like, I don't know, get to the arena, get to the end of the arena. Here's an example of what would be a terrible design. Clear 100 waves in the arena with average health of less than 10% of your max, or something like that, or less than 50% of your max. And something where like you need the item to complete the thing that gets the item, that's really bad. But even if it's just like your build doesn't work until you have that item, so you'd have to like complete it to get that, it doesn't really feel good either. So there'd have to be a lesser version of it in order to have that there. But yeah, I can see that sort of thing being really cool, where there's like challenge specific, like there's always cool things. I remember in WoW, there's certain achievements for things like beat this boss before it enters phase 3 or something like that, where it's like if you just like DPS it down fast enough, you can just like skip an entire phase and you get a cool achievement for it. And like I don't think there was gear tied to that very often, or possibly ever. But I could see like possibly cosmetics being tied to that. I could see possibly, let's try and drag this worm out of there. I do not like fighting in that narrow corridor. Boop. I'm not very strong, guys. That would have been a good time to die. Time to die. What's that from? Are there crafting changes coming more in-game focus or just general focus? The crafting changes that are being worked on are very general focus, but we do... Oh, not today! Oh, maybe today. Come on out here. This is we're not dealing with this. Okay, a little more room to work with. they're very general focused. We do keep a lot of the theoretical testing. We do. We look at different points. So we'll say like, what does this do to the leveling process? What does this do to the end of the story, start of the end game? What does this do to late pushed end game, as far as like difficulty for crafting, different things. Like, so we look at different points. Will you add more crafting components to get the same complexity as PoE? There's a lot of crafting components in PoE. I think 1.0 launch will very unlikely have that many. I mean, unless you count every shard as a crafting component, in which case we have way more. I mean, maybe not with all of the harvest stuff. But anyways, I would say no, not as many as PoE, at least at 1.0, but we are adding more. When will we see you play hardcore solo? When you let me play a character that's not a very weak class. And it won't get very far either. Not class, but weak build. This is definitely a weak build. Like, yeah. I'm having tons of fun with it. I'm really enjoying it. It's not very strong, though. Let's just take a stroll out here. Whoop! Come on, get out. Oh, the bear survives this, and he's dead. What am I doing? All attributes. All attributes. What's your favorite thing you've worked on in last Epoch? Oh, that's tough. It's the skill. Like, I really enjoy working on skills. So there's some skills that I've really enjoyed working on. I don't know which one my favorite that I've worked on is. Like, to some degree, I've worked on almost all of them. So, favorite thing. I think it's probably werebear form. I've really enjoyed working on werebear form. Yeah. Hi, Rick O'Connor. X-Ham Strikes asks, hi, sorry for bad English. That's okay, you're doing great. What about blessings after closing echoes? Now it's like closing holes from equip, like resistance or damage, specific buffs or percentage, plus to hunt specific item bases. Have anything else on your mind? There's not a lot of changes coming to the rewards from, like, the blessings. There's changes coming to the rewards for monoliths, but not the blessings themselves. There's also some new types of monoliths coming, so people were asking about if arenas getting changes or not, and if monoliths are getting changes or not. And there might be something that links them a little bit, you know. Apart from getting keys, so there's. I know a lot of people like really small. Some people like the arena, but they don't want to sit there forever. So small burst arenas would be something people would like, I think. So I admit I create weaker content. Yeah. I have. It's been done. Not intentionally. CDR. Who cares about that? Whose fault is it that's not a strong build? It's mine. I like to blame Reimer for it, but it would not be anywhere near as strong as it is without his help. Ooh. This is gonna be close. Easy there, sucker. Why did I pull more? Hi, can you tell us something about Endgame? Any future plans? Yeah, I mean, I was just kind of hinting at it a little bit, but I'll just tell you outright. There's some new monolith echoes types that are being added in. One of those is a very short burst arena, so it'll be like complete X waves in arena Y. As an echo in the monolith. I really enjoy those ones. I'm sure you never get asked this question, so I want to make sure I'm very unique. Multiplayer when? Yeah, this is the first time. I don't know how no one's asked me that before. Like, it's really surprising. I thought you guys would be more interested about multiplayer, and like, but apparently you guys just don't care. So I mean, I guess we'll hold off on it for a while. Yeah, it's coming. We've yeah, it's great. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I am really, really excited. The moment that we can get just anyone into multiplayer, and like anyone who wants to join can join. The moment we've released that, and like I'm anticipating this moment of just like hopping into random games and joining people and playing, and I know that's gonna be so special when it happens. Really excited about it. So you said you like working on skills. What do you think makes compelling skill tree? That's a really good question. That's a really interesting question. How caught up am I? Because I could talk about that for... Okay, I'm pretty close. That's sweet. I'll answer that in a second. Will you introduce trading trading will be not the same as any trading system that I can think of off the top of my head. There will be a system by which players can accumulate items from other players and transfer their items to other players. I know I'm being unbelievably vague, but we're not really ready to go into details on it yet. Do you keep track of what goes on in the communities to other action RPGs to avoid making the same mistakes, either content or communications wise? We don't really monitor and take notes on like, oh, they did that, we shouldn't do that. But I think that just being a part of those communities, as so many of us on the team are and have been for decades, things come naturally, and like your experiences influence your decisions. So I'm sure there's impacts that it has, but we don't have like a big list of incidents of other ARPGs that we need to avoid or anything like that. No. What do I think makes a compelling skill tree? Oh yeah, trading no third-party sites. That is something we want to avoid. Yes. What makes a compelling skill tree? I think something that makes a compelling skill tree is where the base skill is really interesting to begin with. So there needs to be a draw for the skill to be like, oh, I'm gonna use that. Where it's like, that skill is cool just on its own. There's just like, that's a neat skill. I like that skill. But it needs to be simple and straightforward enough that there's room to grow. So there's space that you can take that skill and do interesting things with it and make changes mechanically to it where it is really, really fun, interesting, cool changes and powerful changes that don't overcomplicate things. So there's this really sweet spot, and lots of times when we're making skills, we actually will have ideas for the baseline. That was close. That was close. Pucker up, because we're going hard. Here we go. jump right back in. No regrets. I knew it was happening. You could feel it. Oh, that's unfortunate. Okay. What was I saying? Skills that are interesting. Yeah, and so I think this when a skill tree is interesting on top of a skill that that has those base requirements that I said. There's lots of different ways to take the skill in different combinations. So where nodes are really good to be used in different builds. Basically, if you get to the end of your build and there's still nodes you want, that's a really good sign. Where nodes are not generic to the point, like if you've taken only nodes that are plus 10% damage, plus 10% damage, and that's all there is, and you get to the end and there's still plus 10% damage nodes, that's not a great skill tree. And yeah, there's so we want there to be nodes where you're still interested and you're still making those tough decisions on which nodes am I going to take, and possibly be not second guessing, but it's still room for experimentation, room for hey, maybe this is better than that. Oh, if I get this gear upgrade, then I'm going to switch this node for that node. That's really, really good to have, where there's no golden path. There's no just like, this is the best way. You can't, it's not, it's not just strictly more damage nodes all over the place. Like if there was a node on Fireball that was 20 points, or 26 points, or the max you can get is, that just said 10% more damage, it would be a pretty full node on a lot of people's trees, you know? Because, I mean, what's better than just strictly more damage? Very little. And that's not always true, but yeah. So we like to try and have skill trees where you're never really done with it. Solving it is really difficult, where it's complex enough and deep enough that there's interesting choices to make based on other things your character has or will get. Other skills you'll unlock, other passives you'll unlock, other gear you'll find, blessings you'll get, different things that influence it. Then there's the depth and breadth of the skill. So there's the like this skill tree. I'll actually finish this, and I'll just die while I have that open. When I say depth, I mean so like 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So like that depth that it can go to. 6 is pretty deep. We usually try and keep things in that range. And then the total number of skills. How branching is it? So is there mostly just like a single path, or is there things where there's like decisions that split? You want things to be able to loop around and connect from different angles. Oh my goodness me. I am not prepared. Must be getting kind of late. I'm dying. Yeah, these are the sorts of things we look at. The total number of nodes. We don't want a skill tree to be overwhelming. We want a skill tree to have enough options that there's choices to be made, but not so many options that you're hunting and digging for different effects and trying to figure out and take in this giant web of things. So we try and keep nodes in and around that that 30 plus or minus 3 total number of nodes, and then the number of points in each tree, so in each node. So we'd like to have, like, I just realized that these are squares still. They're gonna be circles next patch. They look way better. Anyways, the number of key nodes and the number of points per node as well. So there's all these statistics we have for every skill tree on the number of total points that can go into it, the average number of points that per node, the total number of nodes, the number of connections, the average number of requirements, all these things. And we try and keep them roughly in a few ranges, just so there's not like huge outliers and things like that. So I think that's a pretty long-winded explanation and kind of got into more of how we build skill trees a little bit. What skill tree do I think has the most compelling skill tree? That's a great question. I really like Firebrand's skill tree. I think there's a lot of really cool stuff in there. It's been a while since I played with it though, so I can't say for sure if it's the most compelling one. The things that I really don't like are auto take nodes. So like I think Werebear's a really good example of auto take nodes. I don't even know where it is in here. Yeah, here's an auto take node. Is that the one? This one. Sorry. And just the crit to stay in it node. Where's that? This one? I don't even know. This one. There's the node. Having nodes like this I think are not great. It's just such a like pretty well every single Werebear build takes this node, I think. Pretty well every single one. So that's the things we like to try and avoid. We'll take this slow. That's okay. To be honest, the game is fun at the moment, and I don't need anything from trades so far as a hardcore solo player. I guess that's why we are more enthusiastic about content rather than multiplayer. Yeah, I think that's really important to have both those things, because there's people that are really much more interested in multiplayer and trading and all those sorts of things than content, which I think is fine. Are we getting more melee skills? Yes, we are. I think I spoiled last stream or maybe one before that primalist will be getting at least one more melee skill at some point. I'm trying to think of like a pun or like a sneaky way to make reference to the name of it or something like that, but I got nothing. Sorry. And that wasn't one, just by the way. That wasn't me like being really sneaky. And now someone's gonna like clip that and play it back when it comes out and see if I was actually. I wasn't. No, like thinking back to what I said to make sure I wasn't again. Ugh. Come here, bear. We're going this way. You're lost. Oh, no, no. Yeah. I think I caught up. I am all caught up on questions, guys. If anyone has anything to send me into a giant tangent hole of a story, feel free to ask and I'll get lost. Have you been thinking about speeding up the gameplay? Not really. There's a lot of, I know there's a lot of people as we get to like a slightly bigger community. There is a lot more talk about game pacing, especially in comparison to other games. And I think it's overall I'm pretty happy with it. I will say that we have kept mob density under control a little bit in some cases because of performance issues in a few cases, and also just as a stylistic choice at the same time. I can see there being a little bit more mob density, and either slowing down Rogue or bringing other people up to be as fast as Rogue, especially as multiplayer, or meet in the middle, as I was saying earlier, as multiplayer becomes a thing. Yeah, generally the speed I'm pretty happy with personally. I'm having a lot of fun with this. So I'm assuming it'll be something like Paw Strike for Werebear. No. I can tell you it's not Paw Strike. It's not strictly a Werebear skill either. As I'm saying, there might be a Werebear skill that's different for melee. I think there is. But that's not what I'm talking about. What do you think? What you think which class mastery needs love the most, and what is your personal favorite class mastery? I think that Sentinel, like, has a lot of issues right now. That needs a lot of work, and something that we've had a lot of design discussions about in the last few months, and we'll be bringing them all together all at once type thing. I think primalist is on that list as well. They're two of the oldest classes, and so there's a lot of stuff that they a lot of stuff they have that's really old still. I think Mage got a lot more reworks than the others, and so it feels, I think Mage has on average better skills. I shouldn't say better. Better designed, more up to date. Yeah. And Rogue is very new, and I think Acolyte's had more love recently. What do you think about skills reserving a part of your mana pool? I think it's a cool mechanic. I think with our negative mana mechanic, it adds quite a bit of complexity to a very core gameplay system. It's not necessarily impossible to do. I think it works really well in Path of Exile, specifically because you can put it on your bar, reserve your mana, take it off. Also, there's just more ability slots as well. So I think it's a really good example of a mechanic that I like that I don't think works as well in our game as it does in the game that I like it from. After playing the build, Tempest Strike buff confirmed next patch. I think it's got some little stuff next patch, but nothing dramatic. You're going to see several primalist-based changes happening all at once. And less trickle. Like there's little changes that happen. I don't know. Like there's so many little changes that happen near a patch. So we'll make a balance change. Maybe 3 weeks after a patch, but it won't get included in any hot fixes or any. There won't be like a balance run through or anything like that. So like you just completely forget about it. There's things that have happened to all sorts of skills that I just can't remember because it was what, February when it happened. So are the leaks only for Necromancer or Primalist, or will we get more for all classes? Oh, new skills. The only ones that are announced... it's reading too much into it. No, it's... The new skills we're getting this patch are Volatile Zombie and Stormcrow. We've been working on... there's a lot of skill development that went into bosses this patch, and then there's also skill work that's being done on things for next patch already. Like the patch after next, sorry. So there's... going to be a lot more new skill stuff the patch after next. And also a lot of people that usually work on skills have been working really hard on some other stuff, namely multiplayer and the monolith and UI, which I think are really important things. Right. In the longer term, any plans for other platforms outside of the PC? Yeah, I think it would be really cool to get And I think we're like, we don't have any clear-cut plans for it. We don't have timelines on it. We don't know what'll happen in the next 2 years, you know, that might influence it, or less or more. You know, like we just don't have a lot of info on it yet. We're really focusing on PC. But we are looking long-term to consoles like Xbox, PlayStation, because they're like, there's lots of people who don't have a PC that can run a game like this, or only want to play it on a console. We've been developing controller support independently of that goal since the beginning, and that will make creating a console part way easier. But there's a lot that goes into making a console port for a game. One thing that did happen really recently that you may not have heard of, that we had a lot of questions about, and I've been like dying to say something about, but I wasn't sure when it was going to happen. It just got announced yesterday, the day before, I think. We are on GeForce Now. NVIDIA has a fantastic platform for bringing games that you already own on Steam to basically their GeForce Now ready devices. So we're on that, which is fantastic. And yeah, NVIDIA it was really great to work with for this. So that was awesome. But they made an announcement yesterday, I think, about it, and our picture was in there. I can probably find it somewhere, or if someone wants to link it, that'd be great. Whew. Is Were-Raptor going to be the third druid form? That would be awesome. I mean, that would be pretty awesome. And it's I guess like the right archetype, I guess. You know, that we got that sort of like castery and the tankier, and then like a Dexier type thing. It is not a Were-Raptor, though. Sorry, Aaron, if you're cutting that together. I know there was a long pause there. We already have the slow. I don't want to take the chill. This is the problem with this right here. This is exactly what I was talking about earlier. After playing Spellblade, I'm not really happy about the damage it does. My Shatter Strike does 3 to 7 damage at level 24. That's not good. You should be equipping a melee weapon that has added damage on it. Which leads to my other question: is it's confusing to build certain builds? Yeah, there is a sometimes a certain level of knowledge required that's not necessarily obvious, especially when you're playing I'd say a non-traditional character like Spellblade. So like, I know, like there's Diablo 2 example. Who's surprised? So Sork could make an enchantress where you'd like have a melee Sork, and it was never really about the weapon you equipped. Well, it was, but definitely less so. It was more about the like your plus skills and how you're building that. But it was, yeah, it's a little trickier. I would say look at the tags, the scaling tags at the bottom, and if one of them says melee, the vast majority of your damage is going to be coming from added melee damage on your weapon. I don't know why I'm actually healing him. We just resummon him probably. So for example, Tempest Strike does 3 base damage. It has 1 physical, 1 cold, and 1 lightning base damage. That's it. And if you don't have any added melee damage, you can have 1,000% increased damage, and you're still only gonna hit for a really small number. So like, I'm mostly not using this to actually deal damage to Tempest Strike. I'm using it to get the procs for it, but I have 45 melee physical damage, so there's 45 damage coming from my weapon and 3 damage coming from the ability. So the vast majority of that damage that it's hitting from is coming from the weapon. Gotta say, I love that you don't need to click on monos or vendors or chests. Just hover over them while mouse is pressed. That feels amazing. It's funny, like, I get people saying really positive and really negative things about that interaction. The Fang! The Fang! The Claw! And we should be improving that interaction both for the people that like and dislike that feeling. Not this patch, but it will be happening. Will there be any UI customization? For example, the statuses next to health and mana globes, or fonts on the way we see damage and crits. We might add in some slight customization. So if you've seen in the we don't have any plans for it right now. If we did, they would be shown up as limited options rather than just put a font file here and we'll use it, or put a color hex code here and we'll use it. All those customizations we like to curate. Yeah. I spent a lot of time in the air. Any plans for offline play? Played a lot of D3 on Switch while on aircraft. Very disappointing this will not be possible on Diablo Immortal. That is still the plan, to have that be possible. Yeah. Hey Mike, is there any plan for a class more focused on support, like Orabot and PoE? Yeah, I mean, there's some pretty support-heavy options already in classes like Paladin. There's going to be some more support-heavy options in some other classes that already exist. Maybe in a transform that already exists that might be getting a rework soon. Might be options for that. We really don't want to have classes or builds where it's like, this is a support class, this is a support skill purely. I mean, there's like Eterra's Blessing and Healing Hands are I think it's Healing Hands. Is that what the Paladin one is? Anyways, those are pretty hard set in the support category, but we usually try and have offensive and defensive options on the ones that we do want to have defensive options. So like Paladin has both, Druid will have both, more than it does now. Yeah. And I'd say there's a few other things that have support heavy options too coming. But those are the two big ones for sure. And I don't think that's really much of a surprise. When you think of like this, like who are the, like look at WoW and what are the healing classes, right? Like 2 of them are primalist base, Paladin, and Priest. Can monks heal? It's been a while since I played WoW. I would assume so. Was that a hint? I don't know, because that was a while ago and I don't remember what I said, so maybe. I know I'm the worst. Is there any chance to getting other forms for the Acolyte to transform into? We don't have plans for it, but you never know. Is there a plan to work with NVIDIA so we could have support pack bundle with an RTX 30? Only if I can get one first. Yeah, this right now that you're seeing is running on a GTX 1080 Ti. I think it's running pretty well. I think I'm on whatever default graphics settings are probably. So medium high, something in that range. So melee damage is physical damage. Not entirely, no. But the damage that comes from your weapon is almost all the time physical. There is like the melee damage that comes from Tempest Strike is 1/3 physical, 1/3 lightning, and 1/3 cold. Yeah, so it's melee and physical are two different things. Melee is I'm whacking you with a stick, and then there's bow. So like melee, bow, spell, and thrown are 4 attack types, and then fire, cold, lightning, physical, necrotic, poison, and void are the 7 element types. Elemental types. Would you say elemental and change it to element partway through, and it got the wrong inflection on the wrong syllable? Yeah, so those are 2 different categories. So a skill, I shouldn't say that. Typically, skills are one of throwing physical. Throwing melee, spell, or bow. There are exceptions to that, but typically they're just one of those things. And then they can be multiple elements.
Impossible.
All right, Orion. You got your belt, your pants are falling down. Falls for it every time. I'm working on my repertoire of dad jokes. Alright, we're probably rounding the end of this bad boy here. So if you got any more questions, throw them out and I'll try and get them answered. Talking about added melee damage, building a spellcaster is so much easier thanks to the adaptive property of spell flat damage on weapons. Any ideas to make melee builds scale faster with the appropriate damage type? I mean, don't they kind of inherently already because of the increase? Maybe not. It's not a bad idea, I guess. We'll talk about it. Do you play other ARPGs to get loot you haven't seen because you've seen all this game's loot? I mean, I've never seen like properly drop, not me cheating with dev commands and things like that, but I've never seen a like 2 T7 item drop while playing. There might even be uniques I've never seen drop. Unlikely, but maybe. Yeah. I haven't played. I don't have much time to play other games lately. Things have ramped up so much for us. Sometimes I'll have like streams of other games going, streams of our game going while I'm working. I do really enjoy that. Any chance of being able to zoom the tab map in and out in the future the moment I find it is too zoomed in for my liking? Yeah. You can actually do that right here. Woo! 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 Where did I have it about? There. Judd's in here asking if people want leaks. Alright guys, I've had a fantastic time with you all today. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, wherever are you in the world. That's right, I stand by how I said that. Just got one last question here. Any sound reworks coming? Some of the skill and spell sounds feel like they lack some oomph or some weight. yeah, there's new skill sound work happening all the time. If there's 1 or 2 or 10 that you are really particular that you'd like to have changes on, if you have specific suggestions, I recommend leaving a forum post about it, and it will be passed on to our wonderful sound designer. All right. Thank you all for coming. I hope you have a wonderful day. We are going to head on over. Where are we going? What am I doing? OBS. Here we go. Thanks for stopping by, everyone.